Hey, good afternoon. Thanks for joining me for a little bit of time to talk about our body and work on our body in a seated position. We spend a ton of time sitting. Why not spend a little time optimizing the position that we spend so much time in, which is sitting? I'm a huge proponent for having a strap around your legs. You can do this for almost every little exercise I'm going to show you today. You want your chair to be just about your knee height, maybe very slightly above. You should be able to set your feet flat on the ground, and having your strap on in that position is going to help your pelvis sit neutrally, and you'll stack nicely up over your pelvis. So the first exercise we're going to do, I call an overhead palm press. So you're going to take your hands, interlace your fingers, and push your palms away and lift your hands up over your head. You can do this with or without a strap. If you don't have one, you're just going to press your toes down a little bit, keep your knees in line with your feet, and you just reach up and up and up. You look right at your hands, opening your palms, tightening your elbows, looking at your thumbs, and taking deep breaths into your collarbones, your chest, and your belly, and then exhaling 100% of the air out of your body to really contract your diaphragm. Holding a little bit of tension between the ribs and hips to keep your ribs from flaring out too much. Sitting the shoulders down, always pressing the palms away, tightening the elbows. And that was about 1 minute, so great job on the seated overhead palm press. Again, great with or without a strap. Number 2 is going to be a seated cat-cow. Now, cat-cow is a great exercise. It flexes and extends your whole spine, moves your cerebrospinal fluid all around. Yippee. In a seated position, especially if you can sit at a right angle in the knees and hips, you can arch your body, bringing your chest down towards your hips, tucking your chin, and get a lot of flexion in your spine from your tailbone to your skull. And then you push your chest out, lift it up, look up, bring your head all the way back, and that's a ton of extension. So you can play with that in a seated position. You know, do it 5 or 10 times, find a range of motion that works for you, breathing pattern that works for you. It's a great way to kind of assess areas of your body that are holding on. For example, me right now, my neck, especially on the right side, up at the top is very stiff. And so the cat-cow is a great one to throw in a couple times a day whenever you feel like you need a stretch. Another great thing to do when you have your strap on is obviously press on the strap. So when you're sitting with your strap, it's going to support your pelvis by supporting your femurs, take a lot of the stress off of your sitting posture, but if you press on it, suddenly it becomes an exercise. Seated straps, it's going to trick your body into using your hips the same way. That active contract relax is going to put force back into your hips and neutralize your pelvis. While you're pressing, you can also play with your feet. It's a little bit of a nerve flossing activity. You just keep a little tension here, tension through the hips, tension through the feet and ankles. You can roll your ankles back and forth. You can try alternating opposite toe to heel. You can do all kinds of weird stuff. Another good one is to crunch your toes up, press and spread. Crunch, press, spread. And then press, scrunch, lift. Some good things to do for your feet. Keeping circulation in your feet back up to your hips is important. It's going to keep your legs healthy in the long run during a life of sitting. Next exercise, we're not going to use our strap. We're going to do a hip cross. So lots of people do this already. if you can make sure that your foot is straight when you set it on the ground and set it up, then you're going to have a much more successful experience. And you just set your ankle like right above the ankle bone, directly on top of your thigh, just behind your knee. And then you can apply some light pressure on your bent knee as you sit up real tall in the hips. You want to keep the stack from your ankle to your knee over here, never give that up. And the more you kind of reach forward with your belly button, the more extended your pelvis will be. And that can become a really great mobilizer for your hip, pelvis, and your low back all at the same time. Something you can add here is a little bit of foot winding. So you sit up real tall and you just use your toes as much as possible, spreading them around the top, curling them around the bottom, going in turn the whole time. All the muscles and tendons that move your toes originate up in your lower leg. So by increasing the mobility of your feet, you're increasing the mobility of your leg and your body at large. I'm going to go both directions. You can push and pull, pointing and flexing the toes. And obviously you would want to spend a similar amount of time on either side, making sure again that your foot is lined up with your knee. You're sitting up real tall, reaching for your seat with both of your hip bones. Pressing the knee down a little bit. And when you add your foot winding, using your toes as much as you possibly can. Feels real good. As you start doing foot winding for the first time, you may find that your toes aren't moving as well, or that it becomes excruciatingly difficult right away. That's pretty normal. The more you practice it, the easier and more capable that whole system should become. Next, we're going to do a seated scap hinge. So you can use your strap for this if you want, or hold a pillow or a block between your knees. And actually, that's what I'm going to use because I already used a strap. So I'm going to get a good grip on my pillow, block, box, whatever it is I have. Big toe pressure. Holding it, you're going to put your knuckles on your head with your elbows out to the side, and you're going to bring your elbows together right in front of your body and all the way back out. You want to keep just a little tension under your ribs so that you don't flare up very much, and just generally keep your torso very still in terms of its alignment. And you just bring your elbows as far back as you can go and as far forward as you can go. If they're not able to go all the way forward, try not to be alarmed. That's typical if you haven't been practicing it. And with regular practice, you should find that you're pretty capable within a couple of weeks. If it's a position or movement that causes you some pain, just don't do it. Skip this one and find some other stuff to do. Maybe send me an email, ask me about it. Great job. Now we're going to do some pelvic tilts while we sit here. So you can use your strap or your block or neither for this. And you're going to think about the position of your hips and your low back. And you want to press your belly forward so that your low back comes forward, arches. And then tuck your hips under you and squeeze your belly button to do a posterior tilt. So you're just taking your pelvis, moving it through a big range of motion with your hips aligned. If you didn't have a pillow, you just make sure your feet stay straight with your knees stay straight, not moving side to side. If you have a strap, you'll find that it's much easier to find that movement deep within the hip because your alignment is set. There's no effort related to that aspect. So you can really focus on more earlier. Another great one to do while you're sitting. This is one I do if I have to sit for a long time. I just call it like a ham reach. You can't really wear a strap or use any implements while you're doing this. But I would just get on the end of my chair, put my leg out in front, and just like reach down my leg and spend any amount of time rotating my leg back and forth, trying to keep my back pretty straight, shoulder in a good position. I can grab my toes, pull if I want, and do a little shoulder stretching. And that's great to do for, 1, 2 minutes, 30 seconds either side, whatever you have time for in your day sitting. Doing kind of a sitting themed thing with my content lately. I wrote a blog article about the dangers of sitting recently, and so this is kind of a follow-up on things you can do while you are sitting. And I'm going to have a blog article about wearing a strap while you sit. All of the many benefits of getting strapped in for your seat. Sitting is a sport. Just 1 or 2 more left. Your hamstrings are going to get really tight while you sit. It's a big limiter for people. Great thing to work on and improve. This one is probably my favorite one. So this is just Flexor Press, but with your fist. So if you're somewhere you don't have anything, you can put your fists together, put them right between your knees, big toe pressure, squeeze your shoulder blades together, and you're going to squeeze your knees in on your hands. Enough so that you feel it in your hips, and then relax. And you can play with that. You can press for as little or as much as you want. It can be pretty cool. You can also incorporate your upper body and your thoracic spine. So if you press in with your knees and out with your hands, then you're going to create this really interesting engagement through your lats and a bunch of your rear deltoid muscles and everything, which are muscles that are largely ignored in a seated position. Deactivated, atrophied even. So if you can spend a minute or 2 every day just pressing your fists into your knees and your knees into your fists, I feel like you'll feel a lot better and probably have great looking shoulders too. When we get real flexed in our thoracic spine, that's when our heads get stuck forward, and it can't be very comfortable. I've worked with plenty of people that literally cannot look straight ahead because they are so bent forward. It's very, very unfortunate and easily preventable. That was great. There's one more thing I want to talk about. I learned in a Qigong class that an ancient way of sitting is to bring your elbows up towards your hips and let your forearms rest on your thighs. And everyone is proportioned in a very slightly different way. But if you do this, generally it's going to support your ribs in a good position. And for me personally, it feels pretty nice on my back. I've only ever sat in it for maybe 20 minutes max, but definitely was cool to check out, worth trying. You could probably sit like this for a really long time if you didn't need your hands for anything. Real quick, a couple more of the benefits of sitting with a strap: keeping your nervous system activated, keeping your pelvis neutral, taking some stress off your spine, decreasing how forward your head is, giving you something to exercise on with your hips at any time, encouraging your feet to stay flat, preventing many dollars of medical care later for aches and pains. Really awesome. Lots of people have told me it's life-changing. A couple people even said it was the most helpful thing that I ever asked them to do. For just $2, you can get a strap, sit like this, feel better. Super easy. Just change your environment a little bit and you'll get a little bit different response from your body. Try it out. Super worth it, I promise. One more thing: if you keep a tennis ball or a lacrosse ball by your desk, you can roll your feet around on it. Now, your feet on your brain map, sensory nervous system, all the sensations you can feel. Your feet take up just as big of an area as your genitals. They are intended to be very sensory, able to take in a lot of information. If you are wearing thick shoes a lot, not moving your toes, not exposing your feet to different surfaces, your feet are going to be down-regulated, and so is a large part of your sensory nervous system. Without that information, your lower back is not as protected from stress, and generally it's just going to cause issues for you. So you can save yourself a lot of pain and suffering and time and money by just having a good time rolling your feet around on a ball while you're stuck in a chair. You can do it while you're sitting with your strap. You can bring it with you. It's small enough to bring anywhere. I like to leave one everywhere I sit. I give them to people as gifts, and I give straps to people as gifts. These are very simple solutions for super common problems that, you know, can potentially be debilitating. So take these small steps, enjoy those gains, and tell your friends and fam all about how sitting is a sport. Thanks for watching.